So I see folks are coming in. It's so nice to see everybody. Before we jump in to just look through a couple spots on the dashboard today, I'd love to just hear, like, if you can just give me like one or two words, like what is your relationship with data right now? Like, how do you feel about data and your Substack dashboard? I want to kind of just get a feel for where folks are, and to also just say that I have set this up so I can hopefully take some questions at the end. It's just me running this live stream, so toggling between the dashboard and the chat might be a little challenging for me, but I'll definitely make room at the end to answer your questions. But first, just feel free to drop like one or two words, like what's your relationship like with data? Stephanie, hi Stephanie. She says it's baffling. Data is baffling. Not the only person who feels that way. Hopefully today, um, hopefully we get a better feeling for you. I hope so. Gregory says he was a data analyst. What do you analyze? What are you looking at? Do. Well, Gregory's answering. Folks, y'all can put your words in there. Do. Come on in, folks. Do. Sure. My dashboard is ready. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Robin asks a really good question about what to do when pre-subscribers read every essay and then copy your work. Yeah, that's a pretty tough one. It's probably bigger than we can tackle inside the chat today. But I would definitely just start thinking about, if you really feel that's happening, you might start paywalling stuff and putting things behind the paywall, or at least putting them behind once audience segments become available, putting things behind so at least they have to sign up in order to read your stuff. Okay, but back to data. Let's see. Jamie says she's very curious, but she worries she'll get sucked into trying to optimize rather than listening to her intuition. Paul says he feels okay about data, but would like to be better. Gregory, who said he was a data analyst, said he uses data for looking at school registrations. Oh, that's interesting. So obviously, like, how I work with data, this might be a good time to say this, that like my work with data um is really interested in like its implications around editorial direction and understanding your subscribers. Like, those are the two sort of like beating hearts of, we have two hearts in a publication. Um, when I'm looking at a publication to decide like where is it healthy and where does it need support. I want to see trends, and I want to be tracking trends over time, and how people relating with the editorial arcs that we put into a publication, and also like what are subscribers doing and how do they behave over a certain period of time. So um, the thing I like about at least our approach in the publishing spectrum is that if you've been publishing for at least I'd say 3 to 6 months, regular publishing for 3 to 6 months on Substack, you actually have remarkable access to data that a lot of the other social media sites do not offer. And so I think that's the other reason why it's really important for me to get folks, first of all, committed to publishing regularly, if only because your data will tell you something. Your data will be able to tell you about trends, about where things shifted, where people engaged, where they disengaged, and then you get to decide. To Jamie's point, like, um, you know, if you're writing as a creative endeavor for you, it's really important that it stays creative so that the publication can grow into what it's supposed to be. Sometimes we use data to override our creative instincts, and then things just kind of get, I don't know. In my experience, and I've talked to other folks in legacy media, the data and the reporter were always separated. And obviously these days it's a little more blended, but I think the same separation is important with how you write and create, and then how you decide like how does this publication grow. So without further ado, thanks so much everybody for sharing your thoughts about data. We're just going to jump in, and I'm going to walk through um do, 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 just a few places for where I like to look in my dashboard and have my dashboard be helpful. I think one thing to say is that if you are a larger publication, if you're someone watching this and you have a larger publication, historically for the last, I mean, year and a half, most of my work in publishing advisory doesn't really use the dashboard as like the tool that makes editorial decisions or and definitely not makes like revenue decisions. For the most part, um, people have been taking their CSV files out of Substack for a while now, in order to see the bigger patterns. And now with the news about the MCP being released, which is basically a way for if you have an AI agent that you use like Claude or ChatGPT, you can connect your live Substack data to to your AI agent of choice, and you can talk to it about it. So it's kind of similar to what we've been doing in Subsite with the CSV files, but that's now available to you too. So I think I'm recording this, and the editor in me is already going, "This isn't going to be evergreen content in 6 months. Like everything will have probably changed about dashboards." Just know that up front, y'all. This is a part of the publishing skills that you need to develop, and part of it is going along for the ride, that things are going to change. But I think today we can look at a handful of places, show you where to look, and show you where like you can make spending time in your dashboard a little more worthwhile. So without further ado, so I've got my there are a lot of filters I'm going to share with y'all today. So if you see me looking over here, it's because I don't have all these filters memorized because they change based on the publication I'm looking at. But today we're um, going to look at how to set this up, just talk through some of the basics, and share a little bit also of like the behind the scenes, like which things don't actually help you at all. So let me do share screens. Do, 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 do. Okay. Oh yes, please allow. Please share. Okay. Can y'all? So when I do that, that takes me away from the chat. So just so you know, while we do this, I cannot see the chat space. I will have time to answer questions at the end. But right now I am in here and we're going to walk through the dashboards. So um, let's just start here. So first of all, I have my stats hidden on the homepage mainly just because, well, I just don't need to see them. Uh, they're not helpful. I don't make decisions based on this, but it does help me just sort of see the overview. But if this is your first time um, looking at the dashboard, this is what you're going to see when you click on home. So like your home dashboard is going to show you these three numbers. It's going to show your gross annualized revenue, it's going to show your paid subscribers, and it's going to show your total subscribers. And I think the default here is 1 year. I like to toggle between 1 year, the 1 year view and the 90-day view. Just because I can kind of know like, okay, I was focusing on this for 30 days, focusing on this for 30 days, and focusing on this for 30 days. And I can kind of get a little bit of an editorial like mark in my mind of what's going on here with my money. But one of the things that I have to often say when I'm working in like in my publishing advisory is that like Substack is not your source of record for whether or not you're profitable or where you should invest resources next. So Stripe is always where you want to go to decide, am I going to hire an editor? Do I have the money? Have I sustained like a low enough level of churn to make it worth bringing in somebody who can help me with publishing my notes? This is not the place to do that. It can show you high trends, but like the GAR here doesn't account for, and this is important, it does not account for coupons. So if you have used coupons inside your any of your publication sort of nurturing sequences, this number does not show that. It also doesn't show the 10% Substack takes and the 3% that Stripe takes. So just know that like this dashboard is high level overview of your revenue, your paid subscribers, and your total subscribers. Um, and there's not a whole lot more for me to say here. Most people like to hide these stats just because especially if you're in a creative incubator season, these don't tell you a whole lot about like the the things you need to know if you're going to shift your editorial direction or how you nurture your subscribers. And so that's what we're going to get into next. The real place we're going to hang out today is in this place right here, the subscribers, growth, and stats sections. So let's dive into, yeah, I knew I did this in backwards. So we're going to start at the bottom with stats. Oh, no. subscribers. Forgive me, y'all. We're going to start with subscribers. And no, the growth tab, your audience and growth. I'm sorry, y'all. We're going to start with your with your subscribers, which this is sort of weird. The nomenclature inside the dashboards is also another reason why I don't spend a ton of time in here. Um, I want to look at your growth sources for your subscribers. This is different from your subscribers' activity inside your publication. So let's just do a quick reset. We're looking at where your unique visitors, your new subscribers, and your new revenue are coming from. I like to set this to a 90-day view. That makes me feel like I'm seeing more of like the trend across 3 months of my publishing plan. And the growth source here, I think this is really helpful to keep in mind that unique visitors, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, if I'm feeling curious about what made a complete stranger click into my work, they have no prior relationship to me, my writing, my history, my work. This is where that information lives. This is telling me like how is my work being found outside of the platform, and how well is the platform working to bring people in and from what sources. So I can scroll down and I can see, okay, the people who I don't know anything about, they came from a couple of places. Once I get below, let's say 1,000 unique visitors, I'm not super worried about that. I'm trying to look and understand where large groups of people are being moved into my network, and into my platform. So I think one of the important things to know about unique visitors is that it also can kind of become the dump pile for this miscellaneous like direct. Um, Direct traffic is one of like the banes of existence for most marketers because basically it could mean someone just typed in the publishing spectrum.substack.com. They somehow knew my URL, which isn't super common these days anyways for user behavior. Um, or direct is when there's no attribution. There's no way to hide where the traffic came from. So they're just going to lump it all into direct. Um, there's not I don't know of any secret sauce to get past, like, that bundle of, like, direct people. It's just kind of the nature of how privacy settings work and shift all the time, for people, how they use their browsers, how they use their inboxes. But this is a useful thing to know so that if you're deciding, "Okay, I need to get in more fresh traffic into my subscriber list, what would be the best way for me to do that?" And right now, if I were looking at this, so I don't publish ads right now. Some of my clients do. But for me, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, direct, I can't make a ton of decisions off of that, but I see enough. If I ever wanted to do ads, I could do Google. I might have some success there. I don't have visibility here into what they clicked on in Google, but I could look at Substack and go, it's still working really well for me. Like, how can what I might decide to do there is do more live streams with other people who have adjacent sort of interests as my publication. That's just one really simple high level way that you can use this page. Is like, where are people who didn't know about me finding me? And then what can I do to like increase those numbers so that I get more and more volume into my publication and a chance for folks to come into my publication experience. Um, to do. Okay, so new subscribers. Let's click over to, I'm trying to check my notes here, make sure I don't miss anything. I wanted to say there was a big drop in people's open rates. I haven't seen open rates on here yet. There was a really big drop, I think 6 weeks ago, where people's open rates were like tanking by like 15 and 20%. And one of my like guiding principles around data is that a 2 to 3% shift is usually just human behavior shifting, but anything that's like 15, 20% overnight, something tech related has happened there. And we might have even been on a live stream when this came through. I was like, this feels like something in the inbox filtering changed. And then a couple days later, Google came out with a thing about how they changed how they measure pixels in images. And basically because they changed the pixelation and it changed the way they track opens, and then it affected everyone's open rates. So this is why open rates are typically treated as more just directional health rather than like a performance of what you're doing um, week over week inside your writing. So um, okay, so we're looking at so if you click over, then we're looking at new subscribers. So new subscribers, we're shifting our learning like sort of focus here, and like I'm learning about what inspired someone to sign up. Like this is where they decided to say, yes, I want to hear from this person, or I like the topic that they write about. This is a place where like I'm getting more direct feedback on like how I'm shaping my publication plan, month over month or quarter over quarter, depending on how you plan, or if you are free range writer, whatever was inspiring you in the month of June and the month of May and the month of April, you can see what's going on here. Again, 90, I like the 90-day view. As you can see, most of my traffic right now, because of the work that I do offline, it's mostly through Substack. And then underneath here, you see all these little gray tabs. These will make you very tired after a while. I always just look at the spikes. So wherever it spiked, this is going to tell me something about what inspired people to sign up within the last 90 days. So here, this looks like I got just a cluster of signups on the writing and publishing on Substack aren't the same thing. That was a post I sent out. And then let's see over here. I sent out, let's see, what could an editorial brain do for your, yeah, there's something about editorial brains and stuff. I was in a mood. Um, so I saw this go out, and again, this is just the high level. Let's see what has changed in the last 90 days. It's hard to drill down here into like actual implications to like the overall vision and purpose of like what your work is doing, how you're nurturing subscribers, but it is helpful to see them kind of clustered. I'm not going to worry too much about what got me just 2 to 5 subscribers, but these little clusters are helpful. Let's see. Let's see. Ooh, I haven't done this. I'm gonna do this live, and we'll see if I regret it. Let's do all time. Okay. So all time new subscribers. So 656. Oh, I bet that was the month I was featured in publication. So that makes sense. And then I don't know what was going on in February 2024. Oh, that was when I started doing my data work, actually. For those of y'all who don't know, I started talking about the reader experience on the Substack, and I started laying the ground for um, the first reader survey, like the reader experience survey, and all that data is in my archive now. And it basically created a baseline for us to compare, like why do people unsubscribe? What are they willing to pay? When did things feel pricey? It was a really fun time. I chased my bliss there, and it turned out to be a really fun time. So unique visitors, new subscribers, these are folks who have come in, they are interested in what I'm doing. And then I want to know like where's the money coming from. So for me, this is just one small portion of how I make money. Most of my work is behind um, in like one-on-one work. I'm a publishing advisor. I do editorial advising calls. And I work with my paid subscribers here. Like I do a lot with my paid subscribers to like help them build their publishing skills. Um, but the revenue is important because revenue changes the nature of someone's relationship with you. And I think that's why like if someone says, should I turn on paid or should I not? Turning it on doesn't automatically give you helpful information. But if you create a very small way for people to support your work and you stay steady with it, over time you'll start to figure out where people are kind of moved to change the nature of their relationship by handing you money in exchange for what they perceive as a product, a service, a good, a voice that they want to support with their money. I'm going to take this back down to the 90 days. So 90-day revenue. Um, Sometimes I've got notes that go off. Sometimes I've got um, some posts just tend to take off. I have found that post by post revenue is helpful. It's helpful information. So obviously, I wrote about what publishing on Substack is for. So I was kind of like casting my vision for like how I approach it as a publishing advisor who wants people to stay in their creative space. I want you in your creative happiness. Um, that that brought in, about 450, $460 in subscribers. But I try not to draw really big conclusions about my work based on what people have paid for, just from the 90-day view. I kind of want to watch that, probably every 6 or 12 months, just because the money can create some static on the line with your creative intuition. So that's kind of how I think about what people are willing to pay for, because it's really easy to get the lines blurred there. I'm happy to talk about that more later. So again, this helps me know, okay, new revenue came from here. What kind of posts brought in new revenue? And then what direct sources also brought in revenue. This helps me know how to plan my nudge cycle. And then, for those of you who aren't familiar, like the nudge cycle is like what we call basically how we make it. We approach promoting your work that's integrated into your publishing plan. And I'm drawing a blank on whether that's next month or September. But we'll have a month where we're just focusing on like what are the things you can do to like intentionally grow the reach of your publication. This is where I go to decide where I'm going to put attention inside my nudge cycle. The interesting part about referrals for your new revenue, in the last, let's see, let's go all time. So, wow, y'all are looking inside and into the goods here today. The AI. So I've gotten this is there are new growth sources all the time. The most interesting ones for me as a business owner have been watching the shift to like where AI is sending me larger one-time ticket purchases. I think that's very interesting. Obviously, within the network, we're going to go into more layers of like how to look at this and then make a decision. That's our live stream later. I think it's next week or the week after. I'll have to check the calendar. How do you make decisions around where the money's coming in and coming out? For me, I have really prioritized making sure that I am writing in a way that my first few sentences are always, first of all, valuable. I want to be valuable to my readers first and foremost, but that also, with the way that AI is kind of searching for reference material, I want to make sure that it's clear what I'm covering in the first few sentences. So, like, I'm not going to spend time on saying something like, I was on vacation and therefore this is 4 days late. Like, I'm not going to waste that first time, first of all, because that's not a fun sentence for anybody to read. And it doesn't tell the crawlers like why they should rank my piece of writing. So let me double check. Do, 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 do. Yeah. Okay. So this sort of growth tab is telling you all about the traffic. People are coming in and where they came from, right? The next place we're going to look is your subscriber view. And this is where like our brain kind of shifts to like, okay, what's happening once they're in my publication week over week, month over month? What are they actually doing? They are my subscribers. And there are 1,001 different filters that you can put here. I like to look at a 30-day view. So hold on. Wait, where's my calendar? I like a 30-day view. Okay, well, I'll just start building the display for y'all. Let me tell you the subscriber view that I like. So first of all, I like a 30-day filter so that if I happen to come over here into my subscribers, I'm seeing 30-day um sort of like encapsulation of what's going on. And there's a method to my madness here. Partly I'm trying to think in 30-day blocks because there is a chunk of my subscribers that renew every 30 days or cancel every 30 days. And so I like to be inside that mindset of like, what is happening every 30 days? And can I make sure that I'm going in the right direction to keep people engaged inside that 30-day sort of filter? Um, so here's what I like to set up. And I'm going to run through these fairly quickly. The replay of this for today will be available to all my paid subscribers, and I'll have all of these filters set up for you so you can go through and add them yourself. But here's what I like to see. So I click, I want to see their activity rating. I want to see their comments from the last 30 days. I want to see their emails opened from the last 30 days. I want to see their post views for the last 30 days. People sometimes ask me, like, what do post views mean? That's their views, their total views of posts inside your publication. So that's really important. We want to know that. I do like to see revenue. I like to see shares from the last 30 days. I don't particularly care about start date in this setting. I definitely want their type. I want to see if they're free, monthly, annual, or founding. Then I want to see their unique emails seen, and then down here, unique posts seen. Um, and so that's kind of where I create like a quick toggle of what's going on in a 30-day view. Obviously, I'm gonna let this load. I'm really confused though, because there should be a way for me to. I feel like they changed it. There used to be a calendar. They do this to me. Okay, well, I can't filter by. I think what I could do before was start date and upgrade date. Never mind. Okay, so this is what I find helpful, um, because what I can do here is I can set this up and I can go, okay, who who are my top commenters? I'm my top commenter. That's funny. Um, who's sharing? Who's opening my emails? What unique emails are being seen? Um, the reason I like to see this is I'm seeing like, okay, who's engaging with my publication at a high level? What are they doing? And then like, how does that compare to inbox views and actual publication activity? And this is admittedly not the easiest way to make good editorial decisions about much, but it does it does give you an idea of like where movement is happening in a 30-day view. Um, so yeah, who's here? What's my live readership looking like? This is not my I'm not drawing big, large conclusions. I'm just trying to get something that if it's changed, it'll hopefully catch my eye as I'm moving through there. Um, okay, then our last stop for um, for where I like to spend time and encourage people to spend time. Oh, I also want to mention if you ever want to actually learn more in depth about what's going on inside your publication. There are obviously a couple ways to do this. I've been working inside the CSV files of Substack for a long time now. Most people are familiar now that you can export it. I just want to show that like you can export every piece of data that's ever been attached to somebody who's on your list right now. Export visible columns. No, export all columns. You can export it. You can upload it into obviously you can upload it into like a one-time chat with Claude or ChatGPT if you want to. You can also use a tool I made, which is called Subsite. My paid subscribers use it. We have conversations around like what data is teaching you, and it's built to help you make decisions around your data, not just give me a summary. But this is an important place for you all to know that there's a lot of richness inside the CSV file. And thanks to the beauty of AI, you don't have to stay in the dark around what it all means. You don't have to rely on this view of it. So let's go to the stats and posts. Now, this is where I used to build my editorial. True story, y'all. 18 months ago, maybe, I was pulling all of this manually and building my own spreadsheets because there was no way for me to export it. It was a fun time. But I really care about this view because this is telling you how your posts versus your emails are performing uh, inside your inside your publication overall. The weird thing, but up until now, is that this post data didn't talk super well. It doesn't interact with the subscriber level data. Um, but that's something that Subsite did, that I built Subsite to help you understand, like, okay, how are my free readers responding to this kind of content that I'm publishing? This is a really good place for you to hang out because you can learn um, just like the basics of how each piece that you publish or email are performing. So, one quick honest note here, this is fairly new. I tried to send out a really exciting email letting everybody know about it. The CSV file, like I said, is brand new, but this display, I can't get to stay stagnant. Like it's refreshed on me every time. So just know that you might have to reset it. But here's what I like most, and there are a ton of new data filters in here, which is also really fun. I like to see, okay, let me set this up really quick. So I like to know my comments. I like to know, hold on, I've got the list here. Oh man, they changed this. Engagement rates don't help me. Estimated value doesn't help me. I like finished post. That's new. So you can see how many people actually finished reading the post. Let me see here. I like to see free subs. I like to see free to paid upgrades. Um, I'm not super concerned about open rate just because open rate, like we said, it's more ceremonial than anything right now. Um, Paid subs are fine. I don't mind those. I like to see restacks. I like to see shares. I like to see where people were were inspired to take movement in response to what you shared in that particular day. Let's see here. So subscriptions, I like the subscription. This is new. I think they started making these upgrades in January of 2026. And if you there's a couple of these where like you'll get a prompt to say like this data only goes back to January of 2026. But subscriptions one day kind of gives you an encapsulation of like how did it perform in the first 24 hours live on the platform. That's a really helpful one, especially for people with production teams, because you're pointing a lot of resources toward everything you post. It's important to know um, what um, what's helping people engage really well. Sorry, I change these depending on what I'm looking at. I am okay with seeing my unsubscribes and my unsubscribes for one day. Um, just know that like you don't if you don't need to see that if you're in a creative incubator, it's not helpful. I wouldn't worry about it, but it is important to know, I'm looking for deep trends, like massive unsubscribes, partly because I'm looking for tech problems, but also for larger publications, large swaths of unsubscribes just need to have a little bit of eyes on them, so you know what's happening inside your readership as a whole. And then if you publish videos or live streams, you can also add, this is helpful, this is also new, you can see the downloads of in the last 30 days, which I really like. Last 7 days, it's also helpful. You can see preview downloads now, which is really fun. You can see who stayed long enough to preview, and then you can probably easier in the MCP with your data. Um, I haven't queried this yet. I think someone should query this and tell me if it can now tell you the percentage of like I may not be able to track this actually. I might be making something up, but I would like to know the percentage of downloads, preview downloads to paid subscriptions and see if that are the previews working. That would be a really important thing for a publication to know is if the previews are effective enough. And then you could also set up your own editorial sort of tester there. Um, yes. So that is what I like to see. And partly just because I like to go in here and just see, like, what made people just, like, jump for joy, "Gotta finish this, gotta go there next, like, gotta share this." So I like to see restacks. I like to put them into context of, like, the human behavior, and the response that someone had in large groups. So I wanna see where large groups of people were moved to upgrade, pay, subscribe. I find most of my paid subscriptions don't ever cluster inside one post unless they had one client do like a promotion for an anniversary, and we saw clusters of hundreds of paid subscriptions, mainly because it was an announcement sort of thing, and so we saw these clusters inside of those. But as far as like general trends for your editorial pushes, probably not going to see them inside this data. You're gonna need to query it in a different way. Um, so yeah, so those are the places I like to hang out. It's really important to say this one more time. Download the CSV. It is super fun. It is very, very fun. You can learn a whole lot because we have because we have this information, we can now, like inside Subsite anyways, we can start having really meaningful conversations around, okay, let's look at your top 5 posts and let's talk about, like, why do these have the top finish rates too? What was happening in an editorial setting there or even personally? What does this tell us about what is alive and changing inside your publication? Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing um, my screen. I'm gonna come back to y'all. It's been so nice to see. I'm sorry I've had to be away from the chat while I do this, but dashboard stuff, want to keep that as clear as possible. Um, so this is just kind of, like I said, like the nature of dashboards is changing. The nature of how we work with data is changing because every publication is alive and changing. Every audience is different. What every publication needs to know about their particular audience is it is truly unique, and I'm not trying to be precious about it. It's just like, as someone who's been in traditional publishing for a long time, like, I couldn't possibly standardize a dashboard and say that's all you need to know. And so it's really great that you have access to your CSV files. You can query your data yourself. Um, and over time, what I find, like, data is one of the best training grounds for learning about who you are creatively and what your subscribers are doing and what you want to do next. And so with all of that, I wanna just make a couple notes. So, like, this month, the month of July, I could not have planned this better, y'all. I did not know the MCP was gonna be released in July, but it's data month in the publishing spectrum, and we're talking in our chat threads about our relationships to data, and we're also talking about, like, giving you some tools for how to think about your data in, effective editorial driven ways. Like, that's what I'm curious about. That's what I'm most interested in. And editorial and creativity are one and the same for me. So I'm not interested in data that, like, squashes people's hopes and dreams. I am interested in being sober about what the data tells us and being honest about it and making really good decisions because of it. Um, and I should also mention that paid subscribers to the publishing spectrum, you have access to my tool. So if you're not a bestseller yet, you don't have access to the MCP. I would I would give you, well, a couple of months before Substack probably makes that available. And this month I'm going to be publishing prompts though for those of you who do have access to the MCP to just help your data talk to you like a publisher. How I'd want to see what like how to think about data in a way that helps you focus on, like, the next 1 or 2 things you need to tweak or change or pay attention to. So feel free to join us there. And then uh, I also offer a dashboard review. So, like, it's $99. It's only available to my paid subscribers. It's just 30 minutes where we can look at your dashboard. You can ask me any questions about what you're seeing. It's really fun. This is a place I hang out a lot. I hang out a lot in the data, and it's kind of been my jam for the last year and a half or so, is just hanging out in data and figuring out how do we answer a publishing question, a business question, a creative question, and ground it a little bit in, like, the actual living circumstances inside of your work, like what's alive inside your work and inside your subscribers. So thanks so much for tuning in. I'm happy to sit and answer questions now. I think I'm going to try and scroll back up through the chat. Um, got about I kind of blocked the whole hour, and yeah, so you've got about 20 minutes. If you have any questions about your data, let me scroll up and make sure I didn't miss anything while I was in data dashboard focus. And like I said, this will be available as a replay to all my paid subscribers, and I will have all of the filters. I'm gonna have a couple of filters also if you're interested in tracking a little more granularly, like the paid subscription movement. There are a couple of settings in your filters that you can set so that if you're like, I'm just focused on increasing paid subscribers, here's how I would set your post level display, your subscriber level displays, so you can kind of just get a gloss over it if you're not using the tool to analyze your data. Um, yeah, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to get a drink of coffee. And if y'all have any questions about your data or what we kind of explored today, feel free to drop it in the chat, and I will do my best to answer it. Um, hopefully, pointing in the right direction. Oh, Stephanie says, "This was wonderful. Thank you." Oh, I'm so glad. Yep. Data tells a story, and I like stories. I think most of us are here on Substack because we like some sort of storytelling. Are there any folks on here who use Subsite still? Subsite is the publication tool that I built. Um, Basically looks at your data. I'm looking at the people in the list now. Works with your data, and it uses a bunch of the basically my last year and a half of like data audits. It has all of the intelligence from those inside the uh, the chat function. So you can chat with it through kind of that lens of like someone who's worked in publishing, someone who has worked on the revenue side of things uh, with publications. Jamie's here. Jane is here. Do y'all want to just? I don't mean to put you on the spot. You can say no, thank you. What have you discovered through your data? Because I feel like that's always really helpful. That playing with your data um, tends to open your eyes, I think, for um, like what you can't see that's moving inside your publication. Like I've lost track of the number of people who have smaller publications that use their data to actually see like, oh, I've actually got 50 super engaged readers in a publication of 500. That's actually a really good engagement rate. Like, especially for someone who's growing an audience potentially for the first time. I like that data can tell you more of the truth behind what's happening. Um, and we kind of normalize it to what digital audiences tend to do, which is that not all 500 people are going to be super fans, but like 50 out of 500 is really good. And like pour into those people and bring them into the experience you're creating. Like data gives you that ability to see what you what you can't see about your own writing because it's just really hard. It's really hard. As a longtime editor, it's really hard. Subsite is available through our paid subscription. You can read more about it on the perks page. I think I'm going to link to the perks page. I think that'd be the easiest place to read about it. Um, and get a little preview there and see what else would be helpful. Hold on. Look up. Wait, no, that's not it. Subsite. So you can see a couple screenshots of what the app looks like on the inside, if that's interesting to anybody. Okay, Jamie says, I love Subsite knows your framework so well. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, it does. I taught it everything. It's been really fun. Jane says, it helps me plan my next emails. Oh, that's awesome. Um, uh, let's see. Jamie says, I love Subsite help me understand what writer archetype I am, which is bringing me a lot of creative clarity about my writing. Oh, that's really good. Um, let's see. Felicia asks, do you offer the chat analysis for a fee? Um, which chat analysis? Sorry. Um, I'll make sure I know what you're describing there. Jane says she has regular conversations with Subsite about the direction in which to take her website and its layout. Oh, that's great. Yeah. It's really it's really helpful. It's helpful to ask those questions in the context of your data. Like I feel so much more at ease because my publication is so connected to my website. Um, yeah. The analysis of the subscriber stats. Yeah. So my paid subscribers can book a dashboard review. That's in the perks page. I think that's probably what you're looking for. I do offer a pretty deep dive data audit, but that's usually, I don't know much about your publication, Felicia. Most folks get enough out of a dashboard reading or like an editorial advising call, but it's on the perks page where you could ask me about your subscribers and their stats and stuff. I'll share that again. Um, yeah. So let's see. Gregory says, I'm on the wait list for the free model. Cool. Are you talking about the MCP? Is there have they made a wait list for that? May not know what you're talking about. Feel free to set me on the straight and narrow. Did you? Mhm. Has anybody started using the MCP? Anybody in here who's a bestseller? Have you gotten access to it and started playing with it? I did the other day. I should also mention, I looked at it and I compared, and it doesn't have an exact one-to-one of the data that's in the raw CSV files, and that could just be because it's just so fresh. But when I looked at it and compared it, to what I built around the CSV sort of framework and what it pulls, um, there were a few things missing, and I'm not gonna say yet that, like, it makes a huge difference. I think anybody who has access to their data is that's a good thing. But I can't say yet what, I just haven't had enough time to dig into it, what might be missing in the MCP's analysis and if it's significant enough to make a difference. So far, I've been impressed with it overall. It has been helpful to answer certain questions. I think what Subside is probably a little more trained to do is to actually help you through the whole nurturing cycle once your data tells you something, like what to consider next, how you might shape it um, in light of the trends that it's seeing. So um, there's that. There's that. Fun times. And I will actually I talked about it. I talked about the reader the reader survey I did back in 2024 that kind of created the baseline for what gets readers to upgrade, what gets them to subscribe, what makes them disengage. Let me see if I can find that quickly for you. It's kind of a long time ago. Well, I'll just share this one. It's like this is a shorter version of it, so I'm not sending you the whole index. So this is where I kind of summarize um, how people think about pricing, what discounts work, budget ceilings, things like that. Let me pull that in really quick. Do- Get that perks link up and running on this page. What did you Like I said, data is a fun. Data tells a story as long as we're ready to hear it. Okay, so here's a link to um, that that link kind of tells you like the three big takeaways from the survey, and then like what I learned in the year after I published it from the data audits that I had done on different publications. So that might be a good resource. I can't tell if you can actually click that in the chat or not. Um, Anyways, if there are no other questions, I am happy to wrap up and send you on your way. Like I said, this is going to be available as a paid resource for my paid subscribers. I'm going to list all of the display options that you can consider. Join me later this month um, for like how to turn um, some of this data into like next steps. Like, okay, I see this on my dashboard. What should I do next? And make decisions like a publisher would around how to nurture your subscribers, how to wake them up, how to think about your writing and a bigger, more like publishing sort of perspective. But um, yeah, it was so nice to spend time with everyone here. If you are watching the replay, I'm also thinking of you. Lots of love for our replay watchers. So happy to have you here, and hopefully we'll see you um, in one of our chat threads soon. We're talking about data all month. Bye, folks.